Hi friends, welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. It's been basically like a whole month since I did anything. I was going to use this quarantine time to just like do all the content, but I didn't because I've been working, and just being pregnant is harder than it looks. And I've just been kind of not pressuring myself to do a million things, even though that's really hard because I really enjoy staying busy and feeling like that leads to productivity. And sometimes though I get into this trap of the more that I do, the more that my time means it's valuable, or it like gives me a sense of worth. And so I was trying to kind of just like rest when I wanted to rest and just think about baby things and not constantly be thinking about pushing out content, thinking about pushing out a baby. Yikes. But today is officially the third trimester, and so I thought that I would just kind of chat a little bit with you about the second trimester and how that went, kind of recap it. I'm hoping that maybe I want to be more intentional. About filming and recording and documenting the third trimester and when the baby gets here. So I'm hoping to kind of be better about that this time around, but I thought I would just sit down and do a little talking head video. Up until then, I put a little like Instagram sticker question on my Instagram stories the other day and asked if you guys had any questions related to second trimester stuff, baby stuff, birth stuff. So I'm going to address those questions today. And if you have any other things that I don't cover, feel free to leave me a comment and let me know. So yeah, let's talk about the second trimester. First of all, it was invariably better than the first. The first was really difficult for me. I was basically throwing up, honestly, until like probably 18 to 20 weeks, which was very isolating and very physically taxing and mentally taxing and emotionally taxing. So the first trimester was really rough, and it didn't end like right at 13 or 14 weeks like I was hoping. So that was also a struggle. I'm so grateful to be pregnant, especially after everything that has happened. Like every single day that I get with this baby is such a gift, but they don't tell you the difficulties of pregnancy. I mean, I know some people do. Some people say it's really hard. But a lot of times I just feel like I was under the impression of this glowing, beautiful baby bump situation until the baby arrives, and that's just definitely not been the reality. But thankfully the second trimester has been a lot better. I don't feel like a burst of energy like a lot of people talk about, but I've also actually been dealing with some insomnia. It's difficult for me to fall asleep at night, and that kind of throws off my whole schedule, so that's been a little frustrating. And I'm kind of hoping that the third trimester brings the tiredness and exhaustion of the first trimester, because I would love to get a little sleep before she gets here. So in terms of like symptoms, I think, the first trimester, I felt like I had every single symptom under the sun. It almost just felt like a textbook pregnancy. Like in the app, it would be like, you should be feeling this and this and this. And I was like, oh, I actually am vomiting and wanting to fall asleep standing up and all those things that you're saying. Second trimester, the three main things that I have dealt with have been heartburn, super fun, insomnia, and something called SPD, which I think stands for symphysis pubis disorder dysfunction, something, SPD, Google it. Anyways, basically feels like you're getting punched in the vag constantly. So it's super fun. You lift your legs when you turn over in bed, when you're sitting in a chair and you stand up. Very, very glamorous, guys. So I've been trying to do some exercises related to that to kind of help strengthen that area. I heard that squats are really good for labor, so I'm going to try that. Who knows? Those are the symptoms I've been dealing with this trimester. I'm hoping that they don't escalate. If they just stay how they are, that's great. But I've also heard a lot of people say that the third trimester is the most difficult. And honestly, at 28 weeks, I feel large and in charge. And I don't know how I'm going to get bigger, even though I know that I'm going to get bigger. I've seen it. I've seen other women get bigger. I know that's like physically, that's the only thing that can happen. She's only 2 pounds. She's going to come out like 8 pounds. Should be interesting. But I'm also only 5'2", so there's like really only out for her to go. So someone asked about a birth plan, what our birth plan is. And well, they actually said like birth plans are often silly because they don't get to work out, right? So kind of from the beginning with this in mind, I'd have not had a very rigid or specific birth plan. I'm trying to do everything.
I'm trying to read certain books that have been recommended to me. I'm also trying to look for a class that Steve and I could take virtually, because obviously now there's nothing that we can do in person because of COVID-19. But as far as like my birth plan goes, I would like to be healthy, I would like the baby to be healthy, and I would like her to come out. So however that happens would be wonderful. I mean, ideally, if I could walk in and like feel all the courage and the strength physically, emotionally, mentally to have a natural birth, then that I would love. So that is what I'm going to try to do, is to have a natural birth. If I find that the pain is excruciating and I hate everything and I want an epidural, I will get an epidural. If I find that for some reason my labor is stalling and nothing's going to help it, and the only option because of some emergency situation is a C-section or whatever, I will do a C-section. I am open to whatever needs to be done in order for this baby to arrive happy and healthy and beautiful. That is the extent of my birth plan. With all of that said, I really would ideally love to give birth naturally and be able to do that and feel like I could do that, but I'm not tied to it in a way that makes me feel like if for some reason that doesn't happen, that I would be less than or that I would have failed at something. I really just want everything to be okay. We are giving birth at a hospital that has like a birth center, like birthing suites. So I am looking forward to that, and I'm hoping that it will be kind of like a both and environment, you know? It has really good NICU and all that stuff that makes me feel very safe and cared for. And so I'll be working on our hospital bag in the coming weeks because I don't want to like surprise go into labor and have nothing to take with me. And again, like I said, Steve and I are going to look for a birthing class online that we can do to kind of feel like we're as prepared as possible for the ideal situation. I love my doctor. I love the hospital where we go. I'm really looking forward to the birthing center, and I'm just so excited to meet this little baby.
I thought this was a really fun question. Someone asked me, so we're not telling anyone on the internet, sorry guys, the name of the baby until the baby is born. I have told some close friends and family just because I literally can't keep a secret to save my life and it's killing me not to tell you, but I want to have some kind of surprise. I asked a really fun question. Any names that you considered or talked about or discussed that actually did not end up being the name that you chose for the baby? So we haven't had too many because the name that we chose is one that we just really love. We've had and held on to for a long time. You know, before we had infertility, before we had our losses, it was the name that we thought that we would use for our first daughter. And now we are having a daughter, and I'm really excited. And when we kind of got away from it for a little bit, and then when we were actually pregnant and it was like really happening, we moved back towards it, and it just kind of felt right. So there weren't too many other names that we thought about or talked about. There were some that I would just like randomly, if I heard a name, I would like shout it out. And then there were some that we did talk about. So we've talked about the name Zoe. We've talked about the name Maisie. We've talked about the name, Saoirse. But then we realized neither of us are really good at spelling it. Steve can't pronounce it. So that would probably be very problematic for her for the rest of her life. I personally liked the names Ireland and Maeve. Because I felt like a strong connection to Ireland right before I found out I was pregnant, and I talked about that in another video, in the first video that I shared about our gender reveal video. I'll link that here in a card. So I was kind of drawn to those names, but I was like, is it too literal to be like, this is my child, Ireland? So we kind of moved away from those as well. But I can't wait to share her real name with you. We put it on a chalkboard. We have like a chalkboard wall in our dining room, and we have a countdown going. It's currently 84 days, and her name is up there. So I have to like tell myself every time I take an Instagram story not to include it because it's really hard to not do that. So those were a few of the names that we discussed and loved. And there's so, I just love baby names and talking about baby names. So we do have her name, and you will find out hopefully soon. Someone asked if I had had any Braxton Hicks contractions. Honestly, I don't know, which makes me think maybe no, because I feel like I would know. I've read about like what they are and all of that stuff, and I have had situations where like my abdomen feels like firmer, but it's not painful, it's just kind of uncomfortable. So if that is Braxton Hicks, then yes. I've had some like growing pains and cramps like back towards like the earlier 20 weeks, like 24 weeks, etc. But really I don't feel much of anything except for her kicking at this point. And that's been really cool, especially to just like as it gets more pronounced. Last week, I felt her hiccuping, which I was like, I'm never going to get to feel like people don't know what they're talking about when they feel hiccups, like blah, blah, blah. But I definitely felt hiccups, and I was able to tell Steve it was really cool. It was like these little pops instead of like pronounced kicks. It definitely was like a different feeling. So that was a really cool experience to have as well. Someone asked how PCOS has affected me being pregnant. And honestly, I think it was maybe more in the beginning where I had a greater fear of miscarriage. I was a little bit worried about hormonal imbalances related to that, if that had anything to do with my losses. In terms of like symptoms, I've actually felt like they were less than when I'm not pregnant. So my skin is better, my bodily functions are better. Overall, I just feel more balanced, happier. I feel more normal in the sense of like, when I'm dealing with PCOS outside of pregnancy, I have a tendency to feel like since my hormones are off, I don't want to be super dramatic and say not myself, but I kind of don't feel like myself all the time. So being pregnant, I've almost felt like a return to myself before my symptoms were really, out of control. So I think that those are kind of the ways that PCOS has affected me. I also just took my glucose test to see if I have gestational diabetes. I did that yesterday, and so I don't have results of that yet, but I'm wondering if my insulin resistance issues from PCOS have anything to do with that. I know it's related to how the placenta processes sugar, but I don't know if that will be affected by me having PCOS. I've not read anything really about that, or whether or not that's like a statistical thing for women with PCOS. So I'm not really sure how it will affect the rest of my pregnancy and birth. But honestly, it's just kind of felt like, not that it's like disappeared, but maybe I guess it's taking a break, it's in remission. Almost as if I'm like not really dealing with it or don't really have it at the time. My body feels like it's finally functioning optimally and doing what it's supposed to do. And then the last question, someone asked if there was something that I wish I had known before being pregnant. Honestly, so many things. But I guess I would just say it goes like really slowly at first, because like you're not really telling anyone and you're kind of keeping it to yourself and waiting to get past those different like milestones that are supposed to be safe. So it goes slow in that way, and then I feel like it flies by. So I think I wish I would have just really understood that better. I've tried as hard as possible to enjoy it every single day, take it day by day, and really just be in the moment. But it's also been weird being in the middle of a pandemic and quarantine and pregnant. So that's been difficult as well. I know that's not really super related to the question, but it's been hard to mourn things like making the decision to make my baby shower virtual. After years and years of waiting, I really thought that I was going to get to celebrate her in that way. And it really breaks my heart to not be able to do that. But I understand that it would just not be a good idea. It wouldn't be safe for others and for myself and for my baby. So I'm hoping that maybe by the time that she is baptized, we could have a celebration. And if not, maybe for our next baby, if we are able to get pregnant again. So those are just some of the things that I've been thinking about, and really the unexpected parts of pregnancy that I would have never predicted. Probably would have not believed you if you did tell me, and if I had known ahead of time. So yeah, I guess, and also that it's just not like, I said this before, but that even in the beauty of it, it is actually difficult, and that it's okay for it to be both like really joyful, really exciting, and also very difficult, and that you're not less grateful if it's difficult for you. I think that is something that I kind of just had some misconceptions about, but I thought like, okay, because I've had all this loss and all this infertility, that I need to just be like super grateful for every second and forget it and act like I don't have difficult symptoms when they are difficult, and I need to be quiet about that and just deal with it. It's okay to exist in both places, to have a physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually difficult pregnancy, and also have it be like really joyful and exciting and rewarding and such a gift in so many ways. So those were all the questions that you have for me. But like I said, if you have any more, please feel free to leave them in a comment down below. It's also been really sweet to, I'm actually filming, the tripod is set up on her dresser / changing table that Steve set up. He spent like 2 days in here and he did it all on his own, and I'm just like very thankful and very impressed, because this piece of IKEA furniture has so many pieces, it's unreal. So I basically just shut the door and said, God bless you. Thanks, honey. Love you. Also, it's been really sweet to receive a lot of like super cute gifts from friends and family for her, which is really cool. I got this beautiful sling from Sakura Bloom. It looks like this. It's like I think it's eucalyptus is the color. It just like feels so soft and nice, and I can't wait to figure out how to actually put it on and use it. If anyone has any tips about how to use a sling and how to properly like attach it to yourself, that'd be great, because I'm a little overwhelmed. I've also been kind of thinking more about how we are going to arrange and fix up her room, which is, this will be her room. Steve is in his final 2 weeks of school, of nursing school, praise the Lord. He's worked so hard, and it's just like the light at the end of the tunnel. We've kind of been putting off some of the baby room stuff because he needs to just focus on school. So once he is through that and feels like he has some room to breathe, he's going to help me with like some painting and some projects because I've been really fun and sweet about making a huge list of things to do. So we're going to paint the room and get all of her stuff set up as much as possible before she gets here. It's been really fun to kind of start to gather those things and think about where it's going to go and what color we're going to paint and the style of the room and how I want it set up and all of that. So we'll do a little nursery room reveal once it's ready. I'm going to do a little what's in my hospital bag. So if there's any last minute things that you think that I need to put in my hospital bag that I might know about, please let me know. Leave a comment down below. Okay. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Let me know what else you'd like to see. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're hanging in there. I know there are other parts of the country that are even starting to kind of take steps forward to like open up and stuff like that, but we're just not really seeing much of that here in the New Jersey tri-state area. So I'm praying for you, whatever your current situation is, because I know this is not easy for anyone. I'm so thankful that you stopped by and watched this video, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye.